Good morning, afternoon, and evening to all across various time zones. I'm Chia, Director Cybersecurity Engineering Center, Cybersecurity Agency of Singapore. I'm really excited to join this IoT Security Foundations conference to be among the expert and like-minded partners to share and discuss about these very topical security issues. Perhaps before I dive further into the IoT issues, a little about Singapore in the context of global digital revolution. Globally, the world is undergoing digital transformation. The onslaught of COVID-19 has provided the catalyst to further accelerate the pace of digitalization. In the midst of this, the little red dot in Southeast Asia, Singapore, we have embarked on the next phase of our social and economic development with Smart Nation as our vision for the future. Smart Nation is about transforming Singapore through technology, about applying technology to solve real-world problems that will make a difference to people's life and across the whole society. This is about creating new opportunities for interaction, bridges communities, and offers a better quality of life that can be enjoyed by all. As a smart nation, we aim to be a leading economy powered by digital innovation and a world-class city with governments that gives our citizens the best home possible and respond to their different and changing needs. We are earnestly pursuing a spectrum of smart initiatives towards becoming a smart nation, and that could be a topic for another day. Along with this, we are seeing a surge in the proliferation of consumer IoT devices. Globally, the number of IoT worldwide was projected to reach about 75 billion by 2025. In Singapore, with a good digital infrastructure, we have a penetration rate for residential broadband of about 93%, and the number of consumer IoT devices has grown by many folds. So the proliferation of IoT is especially of concern as most of these IoT devices deployed are with no or little security measures. This results in an extensive attack surface that causes increasing anxiety in terms of cybersecurity risk. At an individual level, the IoT vulnerabilities could be exploited for transactional fraud and privacy breach. But hackers can hack through such devices into corporate network as well if they are somewhat connected. And there are also larger systemic ramifications as demonstrated during the Mirai episode, whereby numerous IoT are exploited to act as botnet to launch DDoS attack on a DNS service provider, which disrupted internet access, affecting our digital lifestyle that we've taken for granted. As we embark on our journey to become a smart nation, a trusted hub, it is clear that there can be no smart nation without security. Because of this concern and given its transboundary nature, we have been working to galvanize global communities to build a secure and trusted IoT ecosystem. As part of this effort, we have just launched our cybersecurity labeling scheme in October during the Singapore International Cybersecurity Week. The Cybersecurity Labeling Scheme, or CLS in short, is conceived to reduce attack surface by eradicating common flaws and mistakes in IoT, raising cybersecurity hygiene, and create a safer and more secure cyberspace. The scheme is comprehensive and targeted at three entities that we premise our C, D, and E approach upon. C for consumer or the user. Currently, the cybersecurity provision of IoT devices is quite opaque to most. The CLS aims to make such provisions transparent to the user and in the process, educate and enhance their awareness of the cybersecurity risks. In this way, we hope to change the consumer mindset and imbue a cybersecurity consciousness in them and to help them to make informed choices when purchasing such IoT devices. D for developers, and we classify manufacturers and retailers in the same basket. Through the changing attitude of the consumer, we hope that this will in turn incentivize developers to produce more secure products. And with CLS, it will help developers to differentiate their product from competition and attain quality branding. E for economy and ecosystem, to engage like-minded partners to adopt or mutually recognize such labeling scheme or standards so as to reduce duplicated testing, reduce the cost of compliance, and improve market access to help grow digital economy. The CLS aims to achieve greater transparency for security of consumer smart devices by using a label to indicate the security rating of the product based on a series of security assessments. The security label comprises 4 levels as an indication of the security provisions in the labeled products, predicated on a series of assessments and tests on meeting basic security requirements such as ensuring no universal default passwords, adherence to the principle of security by design, absence of common software vulnerabilities, and resistance to common cyber attacks. I also want to highlight that among the 4 levels, the first 2 levels are self-declarations, which requires the developers to complete the conformance checklist and provides supporting evidences. And for a start, we are exercising fair amount of scrutiny to ensure consistent and better understanding of the requirements. For level 3 and 4, it will involve third-party independent evaluation labs approved under our scheme to assess and test the IoT devices. We did not want to reinvent the wheel, and the criteria for the CLS ratings reference the baseline requirements from the 13 COPs that was first developed by UK DCMS, which had evolved into the ETSI, or European Telecommunications Standard Institute's EN 303645, the Cybersecurity for Consumer IoT baseline requirements, which has since been widely adopted in Europe, notably UK, Finland, and also in Australia. The use of a widely adopted standards will help to facilitate subsequent mutual recognition. For Tier 1, we are only looking at 3 most basic ones or requirements as highlighted in blue, namely no universal default passwords, implementing means to manage reports of vulnerabilities, and to keep software updated. Tier 2 looks at life cycle requirements based upon our Telco IoT Cybersecurity Guide. Among many other things, the guide defines lifecycle requirements, which entails developers having quality product development processes, such as performing threat modeling, secure systems engineering approach, having a device or software versioning system in place. This tier 6 to actually ensure that the manufacturers have a security by design principle in place when designing the IoT device. Tier 3 looks at software binary analysis and is premised upon running the device firmware binary and mobile applications, both IoT and Android, through a series of automated binary analyzers which seeks to provide quick results. Here, we are looking out for a few things, such as the software composition analysis, the hard-coded sensitive keys and materials, software errors, and mobile applications, so as to eradicate any common or known software vulnerabilities. Tier 4 seeks to provide a basic level of assurance that the device is resistant to the common IoT attacks. The eval labs will conduct up to about 10 days of penetration testing, including minimum test suites defined by CSA, and this could be specific to each category of device. For a start, the scheme is voluntary and is targeted at common consumer devices such as residential gateway or home Wi-Fi and smart home hub. The CLS is not a static scheme. In fact, given the threat landscape is dynamic and evolving, the baseline requirements cannot afford to be static. It also allows water to find its level, and for us to progressively nudge the market towards higher security requirements based on the market interest, acceptance, and readiness. This is done to strike a delicate balance of raising cyber hygiene while continue to encourage innovation and the advent of new products. The scheme is planned to be flexible, lightweight if you wish to, and involving third-party independent assessment if that's what you sought. There are 4 levels. Level 1 and 2 involve self-declaration, so essentially low or no cost, while level 3 and 4 involves third-party independent evaluation at the fraction of the cost of a formal certification. The scheme is cost-effective and consistent. Because of its flexibility, it allows the user and the manufacturer to choose the most cost-effective approach that is commensurable with its risk profile. Yet, with the higher tier level 3 and 4, third-party independent evaluation with oversight from a certification body, It allows consistency in terms of test cases that's bespoke to each category of equipment. The scheme, as mentioned earlier, is also robust, dealing comprehensively with consumer, developer, and aim to seek mutual recognitions among like-minded partners. It is important to note that while for a start the scheme is voluntary, it is always an option to maintain the labeling scheme, to mandate the labeling scheme at a later stage. In fact, where it is critical, such as home routers, we have worked with our telco authority as they refresh the mandatory tax specifications to leverage on their legislation to also mandate and align the baseline requirements for router. So by this time next year, only home routers that have CLS Level 1 label can be put on sale in Singapore. Beyond the cybersecurity labeling scheme, Singapore has been galvanizing global communities to build a secure and trusted IoT ecosystem. We are an early vanguard in pushing for the IoT agenda. When we first started, there were a fair amount of tentativeness, but it was since dramatically transformed over the last 4 years. With the amazing proliferation of IoT devices, extensive connectivities, and greater awareness of the cybersecurity concerns, today we are seeing strong interest and increasing emphasis in the area of IoT. Since 2015, we have started to forge partnership with like-minded stakeholders towards establishing industry standards and cultivating a secure IoT ecosystem. An important platform for us is the International IoT Security Roundtable, where we bring together global thought leaders, policymakers, and experts in IoT from international communities to share, shape, and steer, share ideas and experiences, shape technologies and architectures, and steer standards and best practices to build a secure and trusted global IoT ecosystem. Over the years, our roundtable conversations have borne fruit. At last year's International IoT Security Roundtable, we did a Twin City joint release of the IoT Security Landscape Report, together with our counterparts from the Netherlands. This essentially took place on the same day across 2 continents, and the report can be downloaded at the CSA website. It identifies and discusses 11 interdependent IoT security challenges grouped into 3 problem spaces, namely principles, governance, and legislation, ecosystem development, and technical reference and standards. Overall, the study called on public and private sector stakeholders to adopt security initiatives to address security challenges in the IoT sphere, drive standards, and innovate towards a safe and secure IoT space. Apart from the proliferation of IoT, we are also beginning to see convergence of IoT with AI steering towards a new wave of hyper-automation, whereby the orchestrated use of multiple technologies are catalyzing new waves of revolution in efficiency, efficacy, and agility of business processes, as well as our digital lifestyle. Coupled with the accelerated digitalization, the proliferation of IoT is expected to intensify in scale, scope, distribution, and diversity. Importantly, we are working towards collaboration among deep technical experts and researchers from the industry and R&D communities. It is to seek technical deep dive and work stream to address the multifaceted challenges of IoT devices. So if there's any interest among the researchers and innovators out there, please come forward and let's start with the conversation. With that, thank you very much. But before I take any questions, let's sit back and actually enjoy a short video on the cybersecurity labeling scheme. Enjoy.